Okay, let's dive in. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're unpacking a stack of material focused on a topic that, well, it really caught my attention. We're looking at insights from something called the Online Business for Seniors Guide.
Right. And, that title itself kind of challenges a common idea, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Who we picture being online.
Hmm.
So our mission here is to pull out the really important bits of knowledge, the key insights from this guide. We want to understand its main point, which honestly sounds a bit surprising at first.
Yeah, the idea that people over 55 aren't just, trying things out online.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But are actively thriving, like building real online businesses, earning income, doing work that feels meaningful.
It's a strong counter-narrative for sure. And the guide, it does acknowledge that feeling you might have.
Which feeling is that?
That the online world can seem, well, confusing, maybe a bit overwhelming, especially if you didn't sort of grow up with it constantly.
I can see that. It moves fast, lots of jargon.
But then the guide takes a sharp turn. It makes this really interesting case that people over 55, they often make better online business owners than younger folks.
Okay, better. That's a bold claim.
Yeah.
Why? What reasons does the guide give?
Well, the first big one it points to is just decades of real-world experience. Think about it, right? You've handled careers, maybe raised families, dealt with life's ups and downs, solved so many problems. The guide argues that this translates directly into understanding people better, seeing opportunities maybe others miss, having a practical mindset.
Practical, as opposed to...
Maybe
Right.
less grounded approaches. The guide hints that this experience gives a certain realism younger entrepreneurs might still be developing.
That makes sense. And you mentioned resilience earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Just from, well, low life. How
Yeah.
does the guide connect that to being online?
Yeah, resilience. The guide highlights this as super important online.
Why specifically online?
Because building something online, it's not always smooth sailing, You'll hit tech glitches, maybe a customer complains, or you launch something and crickets. For a bit, anyway. The guide implies someone who's already learned to bounce back from life's bigger setbacks. Well, they're less likely to get completely thrown off course by these online bumps.
They've built that muscle already.
React. They have that perspective. And the guy also mentions knowing how to follow through.
Ah, yes. Follow through. Sticking with it.
That's another key point it makes. It connects back to that life experience again. You understand things take time, require consistent effort. It's not all instant wins.
Right. Not like some of the hype you see online.
Precisely. And online, it's so easy to get distracted, jump to the next big thing.
Yeah.
So that ability to just stick with a plan, huge advantage, according to the guide.
And I found this really interesting. The guide suggests this group, people over 55, they're often looking for something different.
Different how?
Like something real, steady, meaningful. They're maybe less likely to fall for the hype-driven noise, all the get-rich-quick stuff.
That's a great point. They're looking for substance, maybe, grounded in what actually matters to them.
Yeah. And what's really striking is how the guide says you don't need to be some tech genius or have tons of cash to do this.
Right. It actively tries to dismantle that fear. It says, look, you absolutely do not need, advanced coding skills or big investment money.
Okay, so if it's not about fancy tech or deep pockets, what do you need then, according to the guide?
It boils it down to a few key things. A clear path, like steps to follow.
Okay,
Support, help for when you do get stuck.
makes sense.
And maybe most importantly, the right mindset. It frames success as being less about your tech skills and more about having good guidance and the right perspective.
That idea of a clear path,
Mm-hmm.
that seems really important, especially if you're feeling that initial overwhelm we talked about,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of leads us to what this guide actually covers,
Right.
practically speaking.
Mm.
It's set up as a step-by-step thing, right?
Exactly. The promise is it walks you through building, and this is their phrase, a simple, low-stress online business from scratch.
Simple, low stress. That sounds appealing.
Yeah, it tackles that overwhelm directly. And interestingly, it starts with the internal stuff.
Like mindset.
Yeah. It mentions the need for a mindset shift first, kind of acknowledging maybe those fears or assumptions about age, about technology, and getting past them.
Getting the mental blocks out of the way first, okay?
Then it moves into the practical. It talks about the best online business model specifically suited for beginners over 55.
Okay, and does it give examples? What kind of models are we talking about?
It doesn't list every single one in the summary we have, but it implies things that leverage what you already know.
Like your experience.
Exactly. Maybe sharing your expertise, like coaching, or creating content, or promoting products you genuinely believe in that align with your interests. The focus seems to be on suitability.
So probably less about complex software development, more about connection and value.
That seems to be the implication. Using your strengths.
Got it. And the tech side, the part people worry about. How does the guide address that?
It promises specific strategies, ways to get started without feeling buried in technology, using it as a tool, not letting it become the whole focus.
Okay. And online marketing. That can feel like a minefield. The guide mentions finding out what's really working without the fluff.
Yeah, that sounds crucial, doesn't it? Filtering out the noise, focusing on effective strategies that genuinely connect with people, that's a core promise.
Definitely valuable.
And finally, it hits a really practical note for this audience. Structuring the business so it actually supports a retirement lifestyle.
Meaning not trading one demanding job for another.
Right. Flexibility.
Yeah.
Making it work for you, not becoming a slave to it, unless, of course, you want to build something bigger. But the option for balance is key.
So the guide sounds very practical, encouraging.
Yeah.
Definitely not like some of the hypey stuff out there.
That's the impression. But, it seems to go deeper than just the how-to. The source material shifts focus a bit towards the why, the deeper reasons someone might embark on this. It frames it as being about more than just making money.
Although earning extra income is definitely mentioned as a goal.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But it also talks about things like creating purpose.
Purpose. That's big.
Maybe finally pursuing that dream business idea you had years ago but put on hold.
Yeah. Reclaiming your time is mentioned too. And rediscovering confidence.
Right. Confidence that maybe took a knock somewhere. And this phrase really jumped out. Rewriting the story of what your later years can look like.
Wow. Rewriting the story. That's powerful.
Isn't it? It positions this stage of life not as winding down, but as, well, a new chapter, an active one.
It really drives home that main message from the guide, doesn't it? That the online world isn't just for the young tech crowd.
Not at all. It's actually potentially ideal territory for people bringing that life experience, that resilience.
And that clear sense of why they're doing it. That purpose.
Exactly. And just to wrap up what the source covers, it does mention near the end that the guide introduces a specific program by someone named Michael Cheney.
Okay.
And it's described as a system designed specifically for, and they say, people like us, emphasizing it gets this audience.
Yeah.
It positions this program as a solid path to earning online, either by sharing knowledge or promoting the right products. And it stresses that it avoids, complicated jargon or unrealistic promises.
Which fits the whole tone of the guide we've been discussing. Practical, straightforward.
Seems like it.
So, okay, pulling back from all the details in the source material, the big takeaway seems crystal clear.
What stands out most to you?
That this guide argues really strongly that life experience is not a disadvantage online. Far from it. According to this source, it's actually your biggest asset.
Yeah. Your superpower, almost.
And that people over 55 aren't just theoretically capable doing around. They're doing it, finding real success online right now.
The core message seems to be just really direct, really encouraging. Basically, you're not too old for this.
In fact, according to this guide's perspective,
you're just getting started.
It really does flip that common script, thinking about age-related strengths not as limits, but as actual advantages in a new environment like the online world.
Which brings up a really interesting thought, doesn't it? For you, the listener. Consider this. How could that unique resilience you've built up, that practical know-how from decades of experience that focus on what's genuinely meaningful, how could those very things be your edge? Not just in maybe starting an online thing, but in tackling any new frontier, any challenge or opportunity that comes your way now.